Welcome everybody. This is the Oracle Temple monthly Spirituality Salon. We've been doing them virtually via Zoom for the past few months due to the virus. And Katie Kennedy, who hopefully you see her on your screen, she is our technology wizard. So when we get to the salon part of the program, if you wish to share or ask Yuval a question, we're going to ask you to use the raise hand feature, and Katie will keep track of, who's in the queue to talk. I think that's the only housekeeping issue, so we're going to jump in. So I now am going to introduce our guest speaker. He wants to start with a song before he speaks, so we're going to hear him on his ode. And our guest speaker, I think everybody knows, is Yuval Ron. Yuval is an award-winning, Oscar-winning composer. He is an international peace ambassador. He is actually known as the peace musician due to the fact that his ensemble is multi-faith. They do travel around the world. They do assist even in mediations at times. And I'll also plug the fact that when this virus is over, he periodically takes people on sacred site journeys with him when he tours. And I have been told that that is an amazing experience to travel with Yuval Ron. Our other connection to Yuval is that he graced us with being his publisher, and we published his book, Divine Attunement, Music as a Path to Wisdom. I'm going to hold it up. Let's see if it comes in. I've got funky lights going on. This book won not just one, but 2 book awards. And for those who do view music, and I think most people do who are serious about their spiritual practice, view music as a separate way of achieving union, either because it gets you in, a Zen state of mind, or it's a mantra sort of, veil that comes over when you're using music. This book not only explains how mystics of the past have used music to reach divine communion, it also has exercises in it, which are just really, really amazing and will assist you with your practice. So Yuval, with that introduction, I'm going to turn it over to you now.
Thank you, Laura, very much for having me. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Let me start with playing for you some free improvisation that comes to me at this moment through this instrument called oud. I hope you can all see it. I hope that you have me as on the speaker spotlight. I'm not sure if you have that. On my screen, I see somebody else that is as the speaker spotlight. So let me wait. Okay, right now I see Katie as the speaker.
I have you pinned, so everyone should be able to see you.
Okay. So here we go. Thank you. Thank you, my friends. So I feel that through the music, right now we have a more intimate and deeper connection, all of us, just by sharing these musical notes. That is why I always start my concerts, even my lecture demonstrations, I always start with music. I speak a lot in my concerts. I explain about the history and the meaning of the music and the lyrics and the instruments. So all my concerts are, in a way, lectures, but I don't communicate it to anybody. I don't tell people that they are coming to a lecture. Otherwise, half of the people will not come. But all of my concerts are, in a way, a lecture demonstration. So talking and words are a part of my work, but I always start with sound, because I am a musician and I know the power of sound. I know it through my work with neuroscientists. I know it through my work with musicians. I've done work for 35 years with some of the leading pioneers in brain research, from Robert Monroe in the Monroe Institute in Virginia to neuroscientist Mark Waldman, who wrote the book How God Changes Your Brain, which I mention in my book Divine Attunement that Laura published through Oracle. And so I know the impact of sound. It's not an illusion. It's not a myth. It is actual phenomena in real life, that sound vibration vibrate the brain of the listener, and not just the brain but the tissues and the bones, and there are impacts that are deep and profound. And so music is a wonderful way to attune ourselves. It's a wonderful window into meditation, into yoga, into body work like Tai Chi and Qigong, energy work, Reiki, massage, prayer. All those forms of attunement are facilitated by music from ancient times to today. And so I encouraged you to use music in any opportunity that you try to either work on yourself, to attune yourself, if you do energy work, if you do body work, even if you just stretch in the morning. If you put the right music, it would encourage you to stretch longer. It would keep you focused if you have the right music. If you need to clean up the house, you need to dust all of your storage spaces and you have no energy to do that, use music. Music will give you the energy to do the task that otherwise you wouldn't want to do. It's magical. There are people who do wonderful things because music is under driving them and bringing them to where they wish to go. And without the music, they wouldn't have the energy to do it. Music is medicine. Music is magic. The word music, the root of the word musician and magician are from the same root. Because in ancient time, in the shamanic societies, the magician, the shaman, was the doctor of the tribe, but he or she were also the musician of the tribe. They used drums, they used voice. So they had to know music, they had to know medicine. And so the role of the magician and musician was one. Then later on in human evolution, it's separated. And you have a magician or a shaman or a doctor or a spiritual leader, and you have the musicians who support the shaman. It starts separating. But originally it's one. So in the core of music, there's a potential for magic, potential for healing, but you have to know what you're doing. You have to know which sound to use for which remedy. And from neuroscience, we know that every sound, every frequency has a different impact on life. And I'll give you an example that you may be familiar with. Imagine an opera singer walking into a bar. And the opera singer starts singing a note, and then she sings another note, and she goes higher and higher and higher and higher. And then when she gets to a particular note, very high up there, suddenly on the shelves behind the bar, a couple of wine glasses just shatter to pieces. Who broke the glass? It's the sound, vibration of the voice of the opera singer. And only one or two glasses broke because they were the right size, the right mass, and the frequency of the voice resonated with that particular mass of glass. A smaller glass or thicker glass would need a different music note. And what we learn now from the scientific work about sound is that there are two elements. It's the frequency, meaning frequency is how high the vibration or how fast the vibration of the sound. So as we go higher, when the notes go higher, I'll demonstrate to you on the oud. So if I go from this note, and I'm going to go higher. This very high note, it's a higher frequency, it's a higher vibration, and what we learn is that it's a faster vibration. If we go low, the low notes are simply frequencies that vibrate slower. They are slower vibration. And so different frequencies, different vibration speed affect different masses, different organs, different parts of the body. And then the other element is how loud, how the volume is the second part of the formula. It's not enough to have the right vibration of sound. you need the right amount of volume, of power of this vibration in order to make an impact in the real world. And so I'll just finish my short presentation here with a very interesting current study of scientists that in Kyoto University in Japan, and also in the US there's a study where musicians are collaborating with scientists to find a frequency that would shatter cancer cells. And different cancer cells need different frequencies, and so it's a very difficult process because you have to do trial and error. You have to try different vibrations and with different volumes until you find the right frequency that could shatter and dismantle a bad cell, like a cancer cell, without any invasiveness, without going into the body, with no side effects. No side effects at all. So imagine the medicine of the future, where a person would walk into a clinic and just lay in bed and listen to music, and in the music there will be embedded a certain frequency that keep shattering bad cells. And after a session of listening to music like that and being subjected to musical sounds, you would go home and you would be completely healthy. So that is one of the directions that medicine are now going, and it's all about sound, it's all about energy. And the ancients, as I wrote in my book, Divine Attunement, the ancient shamans and the yogis and the yogi masters and the Kabbalists, the mystics, Hebrew shamans knew that they used sound for healing. And the same thing in India, in ancient India, we find it even all the way as recent in the Ottoman Empire, 500 years ago. In Turkey, you would have doctors who used musicians in their practice to heal people. And in my book, I also tell about the story about King David, how King David was a therapist. He was a musician who worked on mental illness patients, who was the king of Israel at the time, King Saul. And so very interesting cases of ancient usage of music as therapy. And now we are living in an incredible, exciting time where those things coming back, because there's great interest in the neuroscience field in looking at the brain and seeing what's happening in the brain when you expose the person to different kind of sounds. And one of the reasons for that is that when you get people to do music, a person who plays violin in an orchestra, in a symphony orchestra, if you wire their brain to a brain scanner, there's so much information. There's so many areas in the brains that are involved in being an orchestra player, because you have to watch the conductor, you have to hear all the other instruments, you have to hear yourself, you have to move your fingers a certain way, you have to look at the notes. So many, and on top of all that, you have to express, you have to be soulful, you have to think about the meaning of the music and connect it with your personal history and your personal feelings. So there's so many areas in the brains that are involved in music making that it made a lot of neuroscientists interested in exploring music, even if they originally were not interested in music at all. They are interested in the brain, but they found that music is the greatest activity for brain research. So they're getting a lot of grants and they're getting a lot of research, and we are learning a lot of interesting information thanks to that recent interest. And so this is a fascinating field. I give lectures about it in universities. I give talks and seminars and week-long retreats, and I wrote about it in my book. So it's one of my fascinations as somebody who's interested in the power of sound.